In this video, here's what we'll cover: what imposter syndrome really is, the 5 common types, why it happens, the imposter cycle, evidence-based ways to break free. Picture the moment you finally get the promotion, the offer, or the place you worked so hard for. Everyone around you is smiling and saying congratulations, and instead of joy, a quiet voice inside says, they have made a mistake. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. And there is a name for it. That experience is called imposter syndrome. It is the deep, private feeling of being a fraud, believing your success is undeserved, and that you're about to be found out, even when the evidence clearly says otherwise. I want to say this plainly at the start: it is not a character flaw, and it is not a sign that you actually are not good enough. It is one of the most common experiences among capable, hard-working people, touching up to 82% of us at some point in life. Let me start with what it really is. The term was first described in 1978 by 2 clinical psychologists, Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes, who were studying high-achieving women. These were people with advanced degrees and respected careers who, in private, felt they had somehow fooled everyone. It is important to know that imposter syndrome is not a mental illness. It does not appear in the main diagnostic manuals. It is a pattern of thinking and feeling, and a pattern can be understood, named, and changed. It usually rests on 3 beliefs. First, my success is not really mine. It was luck or timing. Second, I have fooled people into thinking I am more capable than I am. And third, it is only a matter of time before I am exposed. Now, this experience does not look the same for everyone. A researcher named Valerie Young described 5 common types, and most of us recognize ourselves in at least one. The perfectionist feels that anything less than flawless is failure, so even a strong result becomes proof of the small part that went wrong. The expert believes a truly capable person knows everything, so any gap in their knowledge feels like being unmasked. The soloist believes asking for help is the same as admitting they are not good enough, so they struggle on alone. The natural genius believes talented people find things easy, so the moment something takes real effort, they feel like a fake. And the superhero pushes to outperform everyone in every role, convinced that only extraordinary effort can hide a secret inadequacy. So why does this happen? In my practice, I find it rarely has a single cause. Often it begins with early family messages. Perhaps you were the smart one, and learned that your worth depended on staying that way. It is also more common for people who are a minority in their field, where fewer familiar faces and real bias give the feeling of not belonging. An external, structural side, not just an internal one. Perfectionism and anxiety feed it too. And here is something I often share: the least skilled tend to overestimate themselves, while the most skilled quietly underestimate themselves. If you are worried about whether you are good enough, that worry is usually a sign that you are. It helps to see how the pattern keeps itself alive. I call it the imposter cycle. It begins with a challenging task, which brings a wave of anxiety and self-doubt. To cope, you either over-prepare, working far harder than needed, or you put it off and avoid it. Then success arrives, or at least a good enough result. But instead of feeling reassured, you explain it away, so your belief about yourself never updates, and the whole cycle simply starts again. The cruel part is that both over-preparing and avoiding rob you of the one thing that could break it: the direct experience of performing well while feeling calm. The good news is that there are evidence-based ways to loosen its grip. The first is simply to name it. Saying that is my imposter voice talking, not a fact, puts a little space between you and the thought. The second is to separate feelings from facts, by keeping a real record of your achievements and the positive feedback you receive, so you have something solid to consult when the voice speaks up. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is especially useful here, because it helps you catch and challenge distortions like waving away a compliment, or assuming everyone else knows more. Self-compassion matters too. Treating yourself with the same warmth you would offer a good friend, which softens the shame that fuels the cycle. This does not mean lowering your standards. It means your response to falling short becomes kinder and less overwhelming. When these feelings have been limiting your career, your relationships, or your well-being for years, working with a psychologist can genuinely help. Together we can trace where the pattern began, work through it with approaches like CBT and ACT, and gently build your tolerance for imperfection. You do not have to wait until things feel severe. If any of this sounds like you, you are welcome to read the full guide or book a session with our team at Potentialz Unlimited in Bella Vista, using the links in the description below. Before you go, here's a quick recap of what we covered. What imposter syndrome really is, the 5 common types, why it happens, the imposter cycle, evidence-based ways to break free,